Welcome to another episode of the Don Davis Real Estate Show. It's your host, Don Davis of DDLRG, brokered by EXP, broadcasting live here from sunny South Houston, Texas, 6161 Savoy. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God. And upon that rock he built his church, and upon that rock we have built our business. And our results are a reflection of our character. If you'd like to verify our results, feel free to tune into HomeLight. HomeLight is one of the third-party websites that track our results. And then Redfin, as well as HAR Platinum and Zillow and several other sources that can verify that we do produce happy clients here at Don Davis Luxury Realty Group, once again brokered by EXP. It's sunny South Houston, Texas, January the 12th, 2020. January the 12th, 2020. We're just privileged and blessed to have another beautiful Sunday right before the college football championship. Everybody knows I'm a huge football fan, so I definitely want to make sure everybody does not forget tomorrow is your college football championship, LSU versus Clemson, so you definitely want to tune into that. And then you also want to make sure you take some time to reflect back on some of the blessings that you reoccurred over the last week. I mean, main thing I say, the reason we broadcast on Sunday is because we believe the first day of the week should be dedicated to God, and so we definitely want to reflect on the past week's blessings, but at the same time, we're looking forward to bigger blessings in the week to come. As I mentioned, I attend Lakewood Church, and today Pastor Joe preached a very good sermon on the expectations. What are your expectations from God? And at the same time, what are you going to do once you make those requests? Are you going to go ahead and ask God for a mediocre blessing? He used an example of Chronicles, I believe it's Chronicles chapter 4, where basically the people that God was trying to feed didn't open their mouths wide enough. So when it comes to a house, are you believing for a small house? Are you believing for the house God has for you? One person came up for prayer and they said, Pastor Joe, would you pray that I get a C on my test? And they said, why pray for a C when you can get an A? Why pray for a man that's just breathing when you can say, hey, I want a man that's 6'2", tall, dark, and handsome, this, that, and the other. So go ahead and be specific in your prayer life. Pray for exactly what you want. I see BME tuned in. Pray that all your kids that go through BME have the ability to attend Ohio State. Don't pray for a JUCO. Go ahead and pray for what God has in mind for you. And once you trust God for that, then stand in the gap and he will provide. So this episode is going to be strictly about how God has breathed on our business, how God has breathed on our customers, and how God will continue to provide you supernatural abundant blessings in 2020, and as long as you say that you are blessed indeed. Good friend of mine, Mr. Milrow, always says yes indeed. Well, I found out at church today that indeed part is biblical, and that's pretty much just putting the super on the natural and trusting God in that aspect. Then I also want to give a shout out to Houston Black Real Estate Association. We had an emergency meeting for Houston Black Real Estate Association because home ownership in Black America is at an all-time low of home ownership in Black America. So we definitely want to make sure we step it up in 2021 in that aspect. A good shout out to Donnell Williams, the president of National Association of Real Estate Brokers out of, I believe he's out of New Jersey. He's all the way down here, but he's a president of National Association of Real Estate Brokers. He came to speak to Houston Black Real Estate Association about the fact that Houston is only 12%. 12% of the homeowners in Houston are owned by blacks. Only 12%. Only 12% of the homeowners in Houston, or of the homes in Houston, are owned by blacks. So 12% out of 6 million people. So that means we have work to do. Now, I'm a glass half empty, or glass half full. Well, you know me, Don Davis is always gonna make sure we get it done. So I'm gonna make sure that I do my part to help at least one family per week own a home in 2020. At least one family per week own a home in 2020. And you, as an each one reach one, each one teach one, you as a good citizen should also request, if you see a young brother or a a young couple out there and you say, hey, man, I see that life's going good for you. Y'all just graduated college. Y'all are doing good. And want to make sure, have y'all considered buying a home? I mean, don't be all in their business. Just throw it out there and see how they react. Have you considered buying a home? Because keep in mind, those who own the real estate makes the rules. Those who own the real estate makes the rules. So if you only have 12% ownership in the city of Houston, you're coming up short, as we say. So you want to make sure you want to level the playing ground by starting with home ownership. And that's what we're here to do. Now, people say, well, Don, do you only help blacks? No, I'm not saying. I help everybody. As a matter of fact, we're DDLRG International. My wife is Panamanian. I'm African American. And then some people say I look Blackanese from time to time. But we help everybody, but we want to make sure there's an emphasis on the fact that only 12% of the homeowners in the Houston area are owned by blacks. Only 12% of the homes in Houston are owned by blacks. So we need to make sure that we kind of level the playing field, because those who own the real estate make the rules. Once again, my name's Don Davis of DDLRG. We're going to go ahead and go to our first break. Love where you live. Love's going to get you. DDLRG.
When you're shopping for a home,
I am Don Davis of DDLRG Luxury International Real Estate, and when it's time to make a business decision about your residence, please keep in mind, it's a Don deal.
DDLRG is for all family groups, whether it's singles, married couples, or families. They specialize, however, in the higher-end upscale properties, but they can handle all borrowers.
We want to create raving fans.
When it's time to make a business decision about your residence, it's a Don deal. Fading back in. Don Davis, Luxury Realty Group. Love where you live, love where you work. DDLRG. Charles Parrott helping some brothers out there, the DFW. I see you. I know Charles Parrott is going to make sure we have some home ownership out in the DFW. Good to hear from you, man. Dallas-Fort Worth is on and popping. I just helped a client buy a house out there 3 years ago. Looks like he has gained $50,000 in equity in 3 years in Dallas-Fort Worth. So it's definitely an opportunity to grow your business in the DFW area. Keep in mind, we are brokered by EXP. So we look to attract agents in all markets at all times. And that way, if you have to make a business decision outside of your county, keep in mind you do have a Texas real estate license. So back to the focus of Houston, though. So we had President Donnell Williams of National Association of Real Estate Brokers come down here and give us the bad information, but at the same time, we did strategize to come up with some great game plans with the Houston Black Real Estate Association in 2020. So we have no doubt that we're going to help homeowners transition this year. But the main thing we want to make sure you guys are aware of, you have to be aware of all programs that are available, whether you need down payment assistance, whether you have 20% down to go ahead and avoid mortgage insurance. You need to find out how exactly do you fit in this puzzle to get yourself into a home. And you'd be surprised. A lot of people, I met a couple this week, they said they had rented they leased for 18 years before they bought a home, and they had no idea how easy it was. It's all about who you partner yourself with. I tell everybody, sometimes you get realtors that are trying to unqualify you, but you need to find a real estate brokerage, a real estate company that will qualify you, not disqualify you. And the beginning of that is somebody who wants to go the extra mile to figure out how to put the pieces to the puzzle together, and that will help you achieve a goal of the American dream. Keep in mind also, on the flip side of that, you say, well, Don, I've heard the foreclosures are the way to go. A lot of first-time home buyers, they go from A to Z real quick. So now they go from I want to own one house to I want to be an investor. Well, we also help out at the foreclosure auction. As a matter of fact, we were there Tuesday, Fort Bend County auction, 10 a.m. At the courthouse. We got to see some very good transactions take place. I saw one transaction went for $98,000. ARV was $200,000. So this person is walking in with a little over $100,000 equity. That is something I want everybody to realize. You do need to attend your local auctions, if not to buy something, just to become aware of what you're going to, what kind of responsibility you're getting yourself in. Also to know that, hey, the auction is real. If you don't pay, you don't stay. And at the same time to realize there's creative ways to acquire property, and there is a cycle of real estate, and that cycle has to be monitored at all times. So every every first Tuesday at your county courthouse, there's a foreclosure auction. You can find a lot of those foreclosures on auction.com. You can also go to publicans.com to find the county the tax foreclosures, as we call it. And keep in mind, those tax foreclosures do have some homestead restrictions that do not allow you to sell those properties right away. So you do need to know the rules of the auction, but it's a great opportunity if you're not familiar with how to get into real estate investing and you do have a 401k or something like that. You're like, hey, Don, man, I went to this class. They charged me $10,000 to hook me up with a handyman. I'm not going to charge you $10,000 to hook you up with a handyman. I get paid when you sell the property. When you sell that property, I'll get paid. So I have no reason to charge you an education fee as long as you have liquid funds that you're ready to invest in real estate. So keep in mind, auction.com, publicans.com will tell you all about different auctions that we have. We also have a foreclosure listing service and some additional informational websites that can show you how to find foreclosures. But keep in mind that you do not want to put yourself in that situation. So my buyers are not going into foreclosure. However, that is an opportunity for somebody who's looking for a great deal as a first-time home buyer. So I want everybody to realize that no matter what happens, there's going to be what they say a head for that bid. There's going to be somebody who needs that home. It's money in motion. So yes, somebody's trash is somebody else's treasure. So foreclosure opportunities are back. And if that's your cup of tea, you want to get something for pennies on the dollar. You say, well, Don, what are pennies on the dollar? Okay, let me overcome the myths real quick. Pennies on the dollar does not mean you're going to buy a $500,000 house for $20,000. Whoever said that is lying to you. Now, can you assume an existing loan at that rate? Yes, but I'm talking about a realistic number of you buying a home free and clear. It's usually about 65% of market value. And that's why you see hard money lenders, they're always looking for an LTV of 65% of ARV. So if you want more about that kind of information, feel free to go to our website, viewallhoustonhomes.com. We're going to go ahead and go to our next break. Keep in mind, love where you live, love where you work, love where you invest. DDLRG. I am Don Davis of DDLRG Luxury International Real Estate, and when it's time to make a business decision about your residence, please keep in mind, it's a Don deal.
I thought that Don Davis was honest and fair. He made us feel like family.
He was very communicative and very informative.
He just helped me to make it very easy, pointed me in the right directions, and gave me a lot of information about what to look out, for.
When it's time to make a business decision about your residence, it's a Don deal. We're back. DDLRG broadcasted live 6161 Savoy, January 12, 2020. Just got through meeting HBREA retreat. Shout out to LaDonna Parker, Madam President, and Shad Bogany, the birthday boy. Shout out to Shad Bogany for keeping it real and letting us know about The Color of Law. That's the book we're all focusing on this week. It's a book called The Color of Law, and that will break down anything you need to know. I like the title in itself, The Color of Law. Definitely look on YouTube, get the audio version, go pick up the book. But The Color of Law is a book I think everyone should read. If you're dabbling in real estate at all, you want to know about The Color of Law. And then another thing is want to send everybody out to pray for Pastor Tony Evans. His wife passed away, and I know it's very difficult for him to go ahead and have to continue to preach a sermon after your wife passed. First of all, I believe he preached his wife's funeral and preached a sermon after his wife passed. But when it's all said and done, he said his wife told him on her last few days, let me go, please let me go. So at that point, you have no choice but to do exactly what that person's will is and allow her to go back to her creator, because in essence, that's who gave her to him to begin with. So if God blessed him with her and she wants to go back to God, then you can't get in the way of that. So powerful preacher, Dr. Tony Evans. I believe he's on this radio station during the week, 100.7 FM. And another thing, make sure y'all listen to the station during the week. Keep it here. Like I say, this is just the icing on the cake. The real estate's on the weekend. It's the icing on the cake. But the true nutrition on this station is the Word of God, and it's on 100.7 FM, and it can be heard here 7 days a week at KKHT. So just wanted to say, pray for Dr. Tony Evans, and then, like I say, focus on Houston Black Real Estate Association annual retreat. And what we found out is that home ownership is down to an all-time low in Black America, down to 12% in Houston. So we're going to handle that. We have some really strong producers here in the greater Houston area. We got E.L. Crane. E.L. makes things happen. We got Jamila Winsey hiring realtors from day to day, just making things happen. So we got a power team here in Houston. So I have no doubt that we're going to fix that in Houston. But it's just funny how things can go after a recession and things like that, how people don't respond as quick. So our job and our calling in our business is to have a purpose-driven business. And so people say, well, Don, why are you so passionate about what you do? Because I'm living on purpose. I know I'm supposed to help people own homes. Now, if you like to give me a bad review and you just don't feel like I'm the professional for you, then that's fine. I wasn't called to you. However, I am called to quite a few people, and people before me were called to me. If not, if you don't believe it, you can check my resume and things like that, where I give a shout out to Nathan Wells, one of the biggest real estate investors in the greater San Antonio area, that took me to the foreclosure auction. The auction I just mentioned to everyone, I've been attending since I was 14 years old, thanks to one of my mentors at the David Scott YMCA, Nathan Wells, who took me to that auction. There's only one other brother there, brother named Rayford Williams, Duke. And ironically, these guys were great math students so they had the development mentality way back then. And we do a lot with Joaquin Arch, 2123 Development. These are people that are your Nipsey Hussles of the Texas area. Ronaldo, the videographer, Javan. I mean, I got so many people. We got a power team that's helping us change the state of home ownership in Black America. And so I have no doubt that we're going to increase those numbers in the greater Houston area. But I want to make sure that everybody has the tools. You got to have the right lenders. You got to have, that's another thing they told us. The average Black man owns his first home at 48 years old, and every other race is 28 years old. Wow, 20 years behind. See, that's what happens when we get divorces and split up and things like that. Then we set our kids back. So you don't want to set your kids back. You want to put your kids forward. So if you got to go ahead and make it through an argument to go ahead and give that kid a good foundation, go ahead and they say pray together and stay together so you can change generational wealth for your children. And that generational wealth is definitely important. Like I say, it would put you milestones ahead. I'm under a second generation realtor in the EXP network, the Franklin team, and I can definitely see that my mentor is definitely transferred his wealth to his son, and his son is working twice as hard. So it makes everything work together. So I love being a part of that network where we are able to show that. Shout out to Jordan Bars. Like I said, I'm just trying to dominate like your dad told me to. Thanks for tuning in. Like, when it's all said and done, you got to do your best in whatever you're supposed to do. So if you're supposed to sell houses to the best of your ability. If you're supposed to invest, do whatever you're going to do as if you're doing it for the Lord, and you cannot go wrong. And that's what we're going to talk about every week here on 100.7 FM. By the way, still want to give a shout out to our last week's guest, Lance Basil. I know you guys really enjoyed him. I got some emails over the weekend, said I had Obama's brother on the show. So Lance, they tell me you look like Obama's brother. So, but he's one of the smoothest new construction sales professionals in Bridgeland. In Bridgeland, and he's definitely ready to sell you an MI home. And like I say, this broadcast today is just kind of us letting our hair down, not hitting you with strictly business. This is not a sales show, but this is a call to action to let y'all know that home ownership in Black America is down. I'm not going to beat a dead horse. I'm going to let y'all know, hey, it's time to quit popping bottles and start popping some earnest money, because it's not that we don't have the money. It's just we're not putting the money where it needs to go. I recently I recently saw a little club up here up 59 in Hillcroft. They said they sold sections in the club for $5,000 a section, and they had 15 sections on New Year's Eve. So $75,000 was spent in the club before it even opened. Now, guess what? If you put that $5,000 earnest money towards a new home and invest that in your future, you're going to get a better ROI than you will get on popping those bottles. So I'm just letting you know. Yes, there's a time to celebrate, but there's also a time to seed time and harvest. So you got to go ahead and mentor our youth on the fact that home ownership matters. And I do recommend, if you have the ability, if you have a stable job over 2 years and you have the ability to buy a home, I really recommend you buy a home as soon as possible instead of do a luxury lease. One of the mentorship programs that we have under HBREA is House Zen Car. Everybody wants to buy a fancy car first, but House Zen Car. Then the other one is This Is My Last Lease. And then we ended it with Mr. Arvo Properties. He has a commercial development that he did off of Fort Bend Toll Road and Beltway 8, where you see the Chili's, the Home Depot, and he talked about how they bought that property for $300,000 and over time have made over $3 million on the same property they bought for $300,000 because they realized the advantages of commercial development. So once again, we're not going to be the glass half empty. We're just going to say, hey, it's time to buy a home in 2020. If you do not own a home, it's time to buy a home. This is our first time home buyer show this week. Typically, we do a lot of luxury. We do a lot of luxury because we are luxurious. However, you can't become luxurious until you take the first step. So you can't jump straight into Air Jordans. You got to start with Air Max first. So everybody, go ahead and apply some of that money that you're earning to home ownership. And people say, well, Don, you sound like you're just selling for yourself. It's to the point you don't even have to call me. Buy a house, period. You know what I mean? I'll love the opportunity to help you because I know if I help you, we're going to take care of you. But at the same time, it's that bad when it's only 12% of the homeowners in Houston are black. Now I have to take myself out the equation and just say, buy a house. That should be your goal. Some people it's going to be the goal for this year. Some people the next 5 years. Some people the next 10 years. But buy a house. You have to. He who owns the land makes the rules. So it's all about location. Buy you a good property that will appreciate, and then you will go ahead and reap the rewards. Feel free to visit our website, viewallhoustonhomes.com. Inbox me, direct message me. Like I say, this is not a whining session. This is I guess it's a breaking news. We always hear breaking news. This is breaking news. Home ownership in Black America is at an all-time low, and here in Houston, Texas, only 12% of the homeowners are black. Only 12% of homeowners are black. By the way, we have 2 million blacks in Houston, and this is one of the wealthiest cities. This is Beyonce's hometown, so you cannot say that the blacks in Houston are broke. We just haven't decided to buy a house yet. So I'm going to go ahead and call everybody in Houston to tell somebody, black homeowners, it's time to step up. And at the same time, we do help everybody, but we needed to make that announcement. When it's time to make a business decision about your residence, please keep in mind, it's a Don deal. Love where you live, love where you work. DDLRG, see you next week.
Do business with the best in the industry. Do business with the Davis Realty. Do business with the best in the industry. Do business with the Davis Realty. Do business with the best in the industry. Do business with the Davis Realty. Do business with the best in the industry. Do business with the Davis Realty. Do business with the best in the industry.